So whoever tells you that this is a strategy disagreement is either unbelievably naive or covering for someone. This is not a strategy disagreement. Everybody agrees with hashtag force the vote. The people who are against it, it's inexplicable, and you're not supposed to question their motives. I question their motives. Cenk Uger's on the take, and he's working for the Democratic Party, and he's working for his corporate donors, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Buddy Roemer, right-wingers. He's against Julian Assange. He's a total fucking corporate sellout. That just happened right in front of your fucking face. And he came at people like me, who all I did was advocate for something we're all on board for. And you want to know how I know we're all on board for it? Because Cenk Uger was for it too when it first came out. Jimmy is making a constructive effort to actually get vote on Medicare for all and unite progressives despite our differences. I love that. Even if you don't think this is a perfect way to do it, you have to agree we all have to push progressive legislators to get this introduced. Huh? 53% of Americans want Medicare for all, even after overwhelming propaganda by national media, Republicans and Democrat leadership against it. 87% of Democrat voters want it, and Democrats won't even vote on it? Anyone who tells you Medicare for all is unpopular is an unmitigated liar. So that's how it started. Look at that, December 7th. That's how it started. Cenk Uger's all on board. Hashtag force the vote. He's all for it. This is great. We got to get a vote on it. Democratic voters want it, and Democrats won't even vote on it? That's what we're saying. That's what he's saying. That's what the squad was saying. That's what AOC was saying. That's what the DSA was saying. That's what everybody was saying until we actually had a moment to do it. And then what happened? Then the executive producer of the Young Turks came out and did this. She said, well, it's one thing to debate strategies with lawmakers. My issue with Dore is that I don't believe he says anything in good faith. It's incredible to witness his rage-filled demands and What? So it's a great idea. We should hold them accountable. But this guy, Jimmy Dore, is a jerk. So I'm trying to make this moment toxic. That's what Anna Kasparian's doing. Anna Kasparian has health care. She got $24 million from Katzenberg. She doesn't care if you have to wait, as long as she can get a personal dig in at Jimmy Dore to ruin this moment. That's insane. That's insane. That's insane. I have an idea that brings everybody together. We're all supposed to be on board. And I said in my video, if you're my enemy, I forgive you. If you're your enemy of mine, forgive me. Let's get together on this. That's how I offered this. That's the spirit of this. This is what the executive producer of the Young Turks did after smearing Julian Assange. That's what they did. His rage-filled demands of some law. I yelled into a fucking webcam. Again, she works with a guy, Cenk Uger, whose biopic is called Mad as Hell, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then she brings up Tulsi. Tulsi's not in the Congress anymore. What? What? I don't understand. What does Tulsi have to do? Liz Warren, by the way, I did hold Tulsi accountable for a lot. Go to Ron Paul. Jimmy Dore holds Tulsi Gabbard to account like nobody else will. That was the article. Like nobody else will. And lucky for Tulsi Gabbard, people don't press her as hard as Jimmy Dore did. That's in that article. That's just invented. Anything attacking AOC is more of his branding exercise than anything else. Attacking Jimmy Dore is more of your branding exercise, isn't it? And AOC told me to stop using polite language. That's what she said on December 2nd. Stop using polite language. I did. And she said, and start pressuring, make people uncomfortable. I did. And Anna Kasparian says, I'm attacking AOC. She's running interference for politicians. Why? Why would you do that? You're telling other broadcasters not to fucking pressure, not to yell, attacking me. Me telling them to do what they ran on is attacking them, according to Anna Kasparian, who gives tongue baths to war criminals, takes $24 million from corporations and right-wingers, smears Julian Assange, and has moved to the center, as I was told by an executive at the Young Turks. I was told when they took that money, the Young Turks now has to move to the center, and we know that. And that's what this is. I was told point blank. With that said, pressuring politicians is actually to actually represent us is the right thing to do. So I'm doing the right thing. I have a great idea. I said, let's all come together on this and let bygones be bygones. And she can't do it. She can't do it. because she's paid to not do it. She's paid to be a centrist. She's paid to advocate for the Democratic Party. She's paid to advocate for those donors, the Clinton donors. She's paid to smear Julian Assange and give tongue baths to war criminals. And she's paid to do this. I just question his intentions. What is the point of that? What is that going to lead to? What is what outcome? What's the result of that did she want? Nothing. Did she think that would help us get forced to vote? Is that going to help people want to pressure their politicians? Because if you do, the Young Turks executive producer is going to smear you when you do the right thing. She says it right there. It's the right thing to do. I'm doing it. And she fucking attacks me in a bad faith way. That's the executive producer of a journalist outlet who just got done smearing Julian Assange. So of course they did that to me. That's nuts. I've never had an original idea in my life. Peddled McCarthyism and censorship for 4 years while taking $20 million in Katzenberg cash. Yes, this is a great idea, but Jimmy Dore is still a meanie. I work for a guy whose biopic is named Mad as Hell, but Jimmy's rage is off-putting somehow. Was a great honor to give a tongue bath to war criminal Madeleine Albright while I was uncritically repeating CIA talking points on Syria and Venezuela, while Jimmy was debunking me in real time in my own studio, including my smears of Julian Assange. But that's not what this is about. Oh, that's what this is about.
Ambition.
So when it comes to hashtag forced to vote, the Young Turks did a poll of their own people. And just like the Democratic Party, their own people are overwhelmingly for it. 86%. Look at that. 85.2% are for it, just like in the Democratic Party, but the Democratic leadership is against it. So is the Young Turks. Isn't that amazing? They were for it. Then all of a sudden, they got to find a way to smear me, and then all of a sudden they're not for it. And look how they worded the question. They put a lie in the question. So they're doing what they claim corporate media does. Lie to you about Medicare for all. They're doing it. The Young Turks. You want to see how they lied about Medicare for all? Do you see what this says? It says some progressive commentators are pushing for progressives within the U.S. House of Representatives to withhold their votes for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House unless she vows to bring Medicare for all to a floor vote. They couldn't even mention our name. Isn't that amazing? That's how petty they are. That's the kind of pettiness that the Young Turks are. Narcissists, megalomaniacs, and complete corporate sellouts. Look how petty that is. That is fucking unbelievable. That's how petty that is. Everybody knows it's me. The threat would, as the argument goes, force Democrats who oppose Medicare for all to go on the record with their views under threat of handing the speakership to Republicans. That's not true. That's the lie that Cenk Uygur will not stop repeating. And he keeps, every time he does it, his credibility goes down, which is why no one's watching his show anymore. I have 20,000 people watching my live stream today. They had 6,000. He's supposed to have 5 million subscribers. I don't believe they do. Because if they do and they're getting 6,000 people on their live stream, they lost the plot, didn't they? Yes, they did. And there it is. So they keep lying about this, just like corporate media does, now because they're corporate media. So they keep lying about this in the pettiest, most transparent way. They keep telling people that they're going to risk giving the speakership to the Republicans when that's not it. There's no chance of that happening. That's phony bullshit. That's propaganda that Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks are doing to keep you from a vote for Medicare for all. I think they're doing it because they're on the take and they have a manager inside the Democratic Party along with Katzenberg. That's why I think. And plus, I was told they had to move towards the center, and this is part of it. You ask them why they keep lying about this, because this isn't a thing. That's not a thing. That's not true. And even with them misleading their own people, just like the corporate media does about Medicare for all, just like that, 85% of them were for it. Saw right through them. Saw right through them. Even with them lying and misleading their own audience, just like CNN and Fox News and MSNBC, that's what the Young Turks are now. They're partisan hacks who protect politicians instead of challenging them. And then they take your money saying we're going to fight for you. And when the moment comes, they didn't fight at all. In fact, what they did, they smeared the guy who was fighting for you. Want to see it? This is Cenk Uygur. For all people pushing Fraud Squad, do you understand that if all 10 Justice Dems had voted president, GOP leader would be the speaker right now? What would that have accomplished? Easy being destructive You have to come up with a plan for. So fighting for a hashtag to get a floor vote is destructive now. So before it was constructive. Now it's destructive. And what is this? This is January 3rd. On December 7th, Cenk Uygur was all for it. Isn't that weird? And now it's constructive. Of course we should all do this. This is the right thing to do. Even Anna said that's the right thing to do. And now we're being destructive. Why, Cenk? Did you get a phone call from your manager? Do you need another round of funding from right-wingers and corporations? Who called you, Cenk? Everybody. So you think that Cornel West is being destructive? You think Kyle Kalinske is being destructive? You think Crystal Ball is being destructive? You think Medea Benjamin's being destructive? Marianne Williamson's being destructive? You think all those people are being destructive? Do you see why you only have 6,000 people watching your show right now? Because everyone sees through this. Hey, I know this isn't how it works at all because I've had it explained to me a million times by forced to vote advocates, but for some reason I'm not embarrassed to keep pushing this obvious lie that the GOP could take the speakership. Please donate, it's fun. Jimmy, you just don't understand politics, so please stop embarrassing yourself. It's a majority of the people voting, not the majority of the House. So if they had voted president, like you were saying, McCarthy would have won. If they voted for someone else, it likely would have pushed. The guy who pushed Russiagate for 4 years is going to tell us about embarrassing ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. The guy who just smeared Julian Assange is going to tell us about embarrassing ourselves. The guy who's on videotape yelling at customer service people at the top of his lungs, and that's the guy who's going to tell us to stop embarrassing ourselves. The guy who's lying to you right now about hashtag force to vote. Here's what happens if they withhold their vote from Nancy Pelosi.
She has to go to the House floor, and she has to get 218 votes.
Right.
And
she has to get a majority of the people voting.
Republicans aren't going to vote for her. And so if she can't get 218 Democrats, then there's no speaker.
If she can't get a majority of the votes, then there's no speaker. And why would they vote present? They could vote for Cornel West. They could vote for Tammy Duckworth. They could vote for anybody else they want, which would mean that the Republicans could not get a majority of the votes, just as he's saying. And then what happens?
Right. And then it kicks back to the caucus, and then it's chaos, and then a whole bunch of people can run.
And then it kicks back to the caucus, and then they have to come up with another candidate, or Nancy Pelosi meets their demand. It's easy. And Cenk is bending himself in a pretzel lying about hashtag force to vote. This is nuts what he's doing. Everyone sees it, by the way.
Yes.
Let's note, and then he just comes at me. He just started attacking me. I don't know why. They just started attacking me. Anna and him. Well, Anna started it off a couple weeks ago, right when I came up with this idea. And then Cenk just started to join in for I don't know why. Let's note for the record that so-called purist, he's now calling me a purist, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm for Medicare for all. I'm for them fighting for it. He's now calling me a purist. Remember he used to do that? Hillary Clinton used to say that about Bernie bros. Oh, you guys are purists. Now he's doing that because I'm asking him to do what he's claimed he wanted to do his whole life, get a floor vote on Medicare for all. And watch this. He goes, let's note for the record that so-called purist Jimmy Dore abandoned Medicare for all just months ago. That's, again, just a lie. I got 100 videos on my channel pro Medicare for all. I endorse Bernie's Medicare for all plan over Tulsi's, and I said that right to her face. So he's just making this up. And by the way, Tulsi Gabbard was for Medicare for all. She was for the Australian version, which is a single-payer system, which is ranked number 2 in the world. That's another fucking smear. But if you say it enough, just like Russia, you say it enough, people will start to believe it. So Tulsi Gabbard has a lot of flaws. She was for single payer, the Australian model, which is ranked number 2 in the world. I was for Bernie's plan. And I said that to her face. And Cenk Uger's got to do this. He started attacking Bernie. Again, attack, and they can't help this. Attacking Bernie is not progressive enough. Hilarious. But to be fair, Tulsi would come on his show. Everybody came on my show. AOC came on my show when she wanted to use me to help brand her. Cori Bush came on my show. Ro Khanna comes on my show. Everybody comes on my show. You came on my show, Cenk. Remember when you were begging to come on my show? When you were running for office? When you were showing everybody how to do it? Man, it's amazing. All right, let's note that union buster Cenk Uygur took $20 million from Clinton donors, then smeared Julian Assange, was caught repeatedly lying about forced to vote, and said now is not the time for Medicare for all. Well, now he just called me a purist because I'm currently fighting for Medicare for all, and he's not. This is Danny Haiphong from the Black Agenda Report. He noticed what Cenk was doing, and from the Black Agenda Report says, you sound like a corporate shield, Cenk. Never heard Jimmy Dore once abandon Medicare for all. After Tulsi endorsed Biden, Jimmy Dore asked her questions about it rather than engage in Russiagate smears like TYT did from the beginning. Hope that corporate money tastes good because it is exposing you. Marianne Williamson said to Cenk, she says, hey, actually, I think it was their job to come up with a plan for being constructive. So she's responding to him saying, where is it? You have to come up with a plan for being constructive. That's what Cenk's saying, that our hashtag forced to vote was destructive. Easy to be destructive. Destructive? To have a plan to get a forced vote on Medicare for all, that's destructive? That, by the way, everybody endorsed, including you? That's destructive. But now that it actually had a chance and he got a call from his manager, now it's destructive. And it's up to us to come up with a plan for being constructive. And Marianne Williamson says, no, Cenk, actually, Cenk, I think it was their job to come up with a plan for being constructive, meaning the people we elected. She kicked his ass in that thread. She's right about this. Cenk is 100% wrong. It's easy to fucking make him look like a chump because he is. It's not my job to come up with shit. It's their fucking job. The squad wasn't strategizing at all until I came up with this idea a month ago. They weren't going to do anything. And by the way, they didn't do anything. They did nothing with their leverage, Cenk. Nothing. Marianne Williamson is the nicest lady. Marianne Williamson is the nicest lady you're ever going to meet. And even she's like, nah, fuck that noise, Cenk. It's on them. It's on them, Cenk. It's not on Jimmy Dore to come up with a better plan. It's up on them. It's on the people elected with all the power. Really, Cenk? You're sitting at home? Well, we could get Medicare for all vote if Jimmy Dore just doesn't fuck it up. I'm the guy with all the power? It's up to me? Wow. For people pushing Fraud Squad, do you understand that if all 10 Justice Democrats had voted president, GOP leader would be speaker right now? What would that have accomplished? Easy being destructive. You have to come up with a plan for being constructive. Marianne Williamson says, actually, Cenk, it's their job to come up with a plan for being constructive. And then Beth says, no, this is ridiculous. This was a clear instance where leverage was there. This is a full-blown controlled opposition. Dismissing any demand by pointing to the threat of Republicans, you're a perfect fit for MSNBC, Cenk. So Cenk is what they call controlled opposition. And that's what he's pointing out. And that's what the Young Turks are now. And I don't think there can be any doubt about it. That's what's going on. Sorry, I'm done with these Justice Democrats. My wallet is closed this next year. So that's the consequence. There's actually consequences when you get elected on doing something and then you don't do it. This is the consequence. One of the consequences is I'm going to scream about it to raise everybody's awareness, and we're going to trend on Twitter for fucking 2 weeks because I'm yelling about it, so everyone's going to know about it. So that's one of the consequences, even though fucking milquetoast, spineless morons on the left think you got to whisper. That's how you get attention? While they were getting no attention for anything, nothing. So this is the next consequence is not only that a YouTuber yells and raises awareness of that you're selling everyone out and abandoning the fucking platform you ran on. That's one of the consequences is Jimmy Dore is going to raise his voice to make everybody aware that you're abandoning the fucking people who voted for you and your own goddamn platform. That's one of the consequences. And it should be every fucking YouTube host. And if you're not, shame on you for being a cuck. Another one of the consequences is that people aren't going to give you money anymore. This is what we tried to stress to Nina Turner to come out for hashtag force to vote because your base will support you if you do because your base is nationwide. The fraud squad showed me that they are unaccountable to people like me when they ignored us and snubbed our town hall. Better luck next time. 100,000 people saw that town hall. At least. 100,000 people show up for a fucking town hall meeting and they don't show up? Not one of them? Wow. Hey, great. So Cenk retweets this guy saying I'm done with the Justice Democrats. And Cenk says, great, this is exactly the kind of damage I was worried about. Well, then you should have pressured the squad to do something.
Great.
I was great. Great.
I thought this was going to happen.
I knew this was going to happen. As soon as they didn't do the thing they campaigned on, people were going to notice and stop giving money. Great. Yes, Cenk, this is called the mechanism we use to hold them accountable. What is your mechanism? Well, first of all, he was against them even doing this. He's against holding politicians accountable, just so you know. And this is obvious. And he was afraid of this was so now a corporate Democrat funded by big oil can win the seat because someone taught them that they should not help the most progressive people in the country. Instead, they should throw useless temper tantrums. Useless temper tantrums. I wasn't throwing a temper tantrum because my plane was delayed. I was raising my voice as loud as I could and screaming at the most powerful people in the world who are abandoning us in the middle of a deadly pandemic. And it worked. It got everybody's attention. And now this guy's not going to give them any money anymore because there's a consequence for you not doing what you told people you were going to do. It's kind of funny. The guy clutching his pearls over Fraud Squad probably helped it trend longer.
Yes.
You just don't know how Twitter works, Cenk. This is the kind of damage that you caused, Cenk. You never rallied the troops. You chose to pick sides in a petty battle of online personalities. Don't ask for another penny, Cenk. I ain't interested in supporting your YouTube career any longer. In fairness, if the politicians are not doing the things you need them to do, then why should you donate to them? They made their choice for better or worse. There are repercussions. A different candidate may represent the needs of the people better. Why would you support people who aren't representing you? And so I went on Katie Halper's show. I did the town hall. We had 100,000 people watch. And then afterwards, I went on Katie Halper's Zoom. She had a podcast. And she wanted me to come on. And I was eating dinner.
About 10 p.m.
About 10 p.m. I didn't feel like coming on. I was exhausted. But I did a favor for Katie Halper. She wanted me to come on her show to talk about hashtag Force to Vote. She had just hosted the town hall and did a solid for the movement. So I was going to do her a solid and go back on her show even though I was exhausted in the middle of eating dinner. So I did. And I started yelling at everybody. At everybody. And I was yelling at them to stop speaking in dulcet tones and soft voices about healthcare and talking about procedures and backroom deals, and because that pisses people off who don't have healthcare. If you think you're garnering support by talking about it like this, you're not. I was screaming this. You're not. And if you think you're going to nice your way into getting a politician to do something for you, you're the dumbest fucking person in the history of the world, or you're lying. You're going to nice a politician into doing something? How do you look yourself in the fucking mirror? So Cenk tweets out this, says that he says, and hashtag force the vote turns on itself. It was inevitable. There's someone in this town hall. It wasn't the town hall. Again, he's misreporting the facts. That was Katie Halper's fucking podcast that we were doing.
It's because he didn't watch the town
and
hall.
he didn't even watch the town hall. He didn't even watch the town hall. He just saw somebody tweet something out with a hater, by the way, misinformation, who has me blocked. Guy who's tweeting this has me blocked. And still tweets about me, which, again, that crosses the douchebag rule. And then Cenk Uygur says it's from the town hall. It wasn't. He says, there's someone in this town hall who needs serious psychological counseling. He means me, because I was yelling about healthcare. Can you tell who? These folks are mostly well-intentioned. They have a fine strategy that is slightly mistimed, but the circular fire. So now it's so again, Cenk Uygur. Well, when is the time? When is the time for this strategy, Cenk? So now he's back to saying it's a fine strategy. Before it was destructive. Remember, first it was constructive, then it was destructive. Now it's fine, but slightly mistimed. When is the time, Cenk? There's no time. When is your manager going to tell you it's okay? When is your manager inside the Democratic Party going to tell you it's okay? When is your manager at the Katzenberg money machine going to tell you it's okay? When is the time? Cenk is saying, don't do it. Not now. Wait to do something. Vote for Nancy Pelosi for sure. That's what Cenk's saying. Vote for Nancy Pelosi for sure. And don't get anything. As he lies that this is the town hall. It's not the town hall. By the way, he says, there's someone in this town who needs serious psychological counseling. Can you guess who? Cenk Uygur was known for screaming his head off at everybody. Everybody. Don't get near him. And Cenk wasn't beaten as a kid, by the way. He was coddled. Guess who was? Here's Cenk Uygur. Here's Cenk Uygur, who's telling me I have psychological problems because I'm yelling about health care.
The New York Times of what he was said. President finally concedes. Was it a banner headline?
What page?
Page 1 on the front page above the fold.
Michael,
absolutely. That's where I learned.
Story in USA Today. Bush says he's made America safe.
That's where I.
That's the headline.
Well, okay, James, you're talking about one
within
story.
the article are never goddamn mentioned in the goddamn headline.
All right, it's impossible to talk to you about
because
something.
here, I'll show it to you.
Whoa. I mean, USA Today. You're not talking about USA Today. You're talking about.
Show the goddamn paper right here, okay?
What does
USA
it say?
safer, Bush says. Picture, headline, USA safer, Bush says.
Okay.
USA Today, you suck balls. You are a terrible newspaper. You know what he did in that press conference yesterday and how we covered it? He lied over and over about how this is a war between Al-Qaeda and Iraq. It's not a war between Al-Qaeda and Iraq. It's a war between Shiites and Sunnis. Civil war that we're stuck in. And what does the USA Today incompetent losers say? USA safer, Bush says. That is a lie. They've done a terrible job. Every one of these editors in every major newspaper, in every major magazine, in every major television news organization should be fired today. 43% of Americans believe that Saddam Hussein was personally involved with 9/11. That is the worst failure of the mainstream press I have ever seen. Ever seen. And why do you think now 58% of Americans are opposed to the Iraq war? Do you know what that number would be if 43% of them didn't think Saddam Hussein did 9/11? That number would be like 3%. God damn it, they failed us. And if you're not angry about that, Michael, and any of you out there, then you're goddamn wrong.
But when I get angry about healthcare, Cenk Uygur says that I'm unstable. Why? It's because he got a call from his manager to kneecap hashtag force the vote. So when the time came to fight for Medicare for all, a fine strategy, as he now again agrees, it's just the wrong time. He said, it's just the wrong time. Why? Because I'm getting $24 million in corporate money right now. And I have to move towards the center. And I have to protect politicians who are also not going to do what they said they would. So, the reason I show you that is because I learned how to broadcast this way from him. And so when he comes out and says that someone needs serious psychological counseling because I'm yelling about healthcare on a fucking podcast, which was at the town hall, and the guy's biopic is mad as hell, and the guy is
The New York Times.
the guy's screaming like a maniac. So now here's another one. I said, Cenk thinks I have an emotional problem because I'm angry about lack of healthcare in America and yell at politicians about it. And by the way, Cenk was right to yell about the Iraq war. He was right to yell that way. I don't shame him. He's right. If you're not angry about that, you're wrong. He's right. And if Cenk's not angry about them not forcing a vote, he's wrong. He's wrong. He should be angry. He's not. He's angry at me. He's angry at me for pushing a policy he says is a fine strategy. He's been for it all his life, said we had to do it a million times, except when the time came, he got a call from his manager that said, fucking don't do this. And so he had to bend himself in a pretzel and attack me. So I say, Cenk thinks I have emotional problem because I'm angry about lack. So, I mean, that was him coming at our town hall. He didn't give it positive. He didn't go, wow, we have some great stories. # forced to vote, Cornell West, nothing.
And the stories were heartbreaking.
The stories were heartbreaking. He didn't talk about my story. He didn't talk about anything. He didn't talk about the town hall. He talked about a fucking podcast that happened afterwards and pretended it was. To what? To discredit # forced to vote. To kneecap Medicare for all in this moment. That's what the Young Turks did. They did it for 2 weeks straight. And so here's Cenk Uygur going full raging maniac on customer service employees, and he thinks this is when he thinks it's okay to yell.
And I'm hungry and I'm tired, and so, like, you know me, I get more agitated when I'm hungry and tired.
So maybe we just should have. Maybe if he would have skipped a meal during this # forced to vote, he would have got angry. But it's obvious he's not skipping meals. It's obvious. So this is want to know when he gets angry, when it's okay for him? This is when it's okay.
So, look, if you guys think this is bad, wait till, if that plane doesn't actually come from the hangar in 20 minutes.
People have been waiting for healthcare since 1940. People have been waiting for healthcare in this country for 80 years. He can't wait 20 minutes for a plane. If his plane doesn't come in 20 minutes, this is what he does.
Flight coming! Come on, supervisors, the flight coming! Supervisor, you at least got to be honest. Is there a flight? Is there a plane? You got to be honest. Is there a plane? Is there a plane? Where's the plane?
These people are all dealing with people, and Cenk is in their face yelling at them and recording it himself. He's recording it himself. How do we get this video? He recorded it and posted it. That's how unhinged that guy is.
Where's the plane? Is there a plane? Where is it? Where's the plane? You know, but listen, if we just sit here and take it, they'd have us here until 6 in the morning.
If you just sit here and take it, so Cenk's not going to take waiting for a plane for 20 minutes. But he will tell you to wait for your health care forever. Because the timing's not right. Forever. The timing wasn't right.
And then they fuck us even harder, okay? So
he's screaming obscenities right at people who are working. Then they fuck. But I'm the one who's.
I need to. You're a supervisor, aren't you? Where's the plane?
Sorry, I'm not going to answer your question.
No, I know, because I've been here for 4 hours. Don't give me this. Where's the plane? Here, I got a question for you. Wow. When did you make the decision that we weren't going to have a plane? When did you make that decision? Who made the decision? Who made the decision that we weren't? It's funny to you, right? It's not funny to us. Who made the decision? Who made the decision? Who made it? Well, who is it then? That's what I'm asking. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Is there a crew? Is there a crew? Is there a crew?
By yelling, we're not going to be able to answer your question.
Okay, let me whisper it. Is there a crew? Is there a plane or a crew?
Flight 204, your plane is already on its way from the hangar.
No, but they told us that 4 hours ago. Is it actually coming? Lie after lie. Is it actually coming? Because I literally heard it was coming from the hangar 3 hours ago. I literally heard that.
So that's what he was doing. It's kind of funny, a guy clutching his pearls over Fraud Squad and over a Zoom meeting that I was on. A guy who loses his shit on camera over a flight being delayed. He gaslit his entire audience over a Zoom call, over a podcast. They didn't let him on the plane.
Reservations number, or you go
Okay,
to
so
customer
I'm removed from this
service,
flight?
or you go to the customer service.
Isn't that unbelievable? I was angry before, no question about it, but you saw it on the video. A lot of people were angry, right? Me and another guy, the two guys who got, there were others too, who got the plane there. If we weren't angry, they wouldn't have brought the plane. They weren't bringing the plane for 3 hours. We got angry, and we asked for a supervisor.
If we didn't get angry, we weren't going to get results. We had to get angry. The only reason Forced to Vote was trending for 2 weeks was because I yelled on podcasts, and I was emoting externally the way people without health care feel inwardly. So when you see me screaming like how Cenk yells when his flight is 20 minutes late, you know how he screams? Because he's hangry? That's how I was screaming for health care. And that's why Forced to Vote trended for almost 2 weeks straight. That's why. That's why. So, like Nina Turner says, when your hair is on fire, start screaming like your hair's on fire. So that's what I'm doing around Medicare for All. That's what I'm doing around the government abandoning us during a deadly pandemic and a Great Depression. They've abandoned you. They've abandoned you. And here's a guy saying, "Oh, if we didn't get angry, it wouldn't happen." And all of a sudden, when Jimmy Dore's got an idea to get his health care, Mr. 24 million right-wing money, he all of a sudden says you can't be angry. That doesn't work. And your timing is wrong. And you're this and that. And I don't give a fuck. And you don't have anybody to replace her. And oh my God, you're going to give it to the Republican. This is nuts. I hope everybody sees this. I hope everybody sees this. That's just it's all over for them. He's a corporate tool and he's doing it on purpose. That's a Hillary Clinton's. That's right from the Clinton donor money. That's what this is. And then they have also got $4 million from Buddy Roemer, a right-winger. And where did that money go? What are you, is Cenk a degenerate gambler? TYT reaches $2 million in fundraising campaign. The Young Turks expand reporting unit through a $2 million crowdsourced fundraising campaign. And then fired all the people they hired. And then they got that money and then they fired everybody. What happened to all those investigative reporters, Cenk? What happened to that money? And then now he plays the victim. So after he smears me, maligns me, his executive producer, out of nowhere for nothing, comes out and says bad things about me, questions my motives, says I'm a raid, people shouldn't have to put up with me. And then you saw her co-host does everything exactly like I ever did. Does the exact same stuff. And then now Cenk is going to try and play, this is what all bully narcissists do. Then they play victim. This is like right out of a fucking textbook. I'm really sad over the Jimmy situation because I liked him and I thought he was a good person inside. I've defended him hundreds of times. To have him turn around and lie about us and question our motives is one of the most hurtful things I've ever experienced. Anna Kasparian questioned my motives when I came up with the idea for hashtag Forced to Vote, which you were on board for, and she could not help herself. The executive producer of the Young Turks could not help herself. Yeah, it's the right thing to do, and it's a good idea and all that stuff, but Jimmy Dore, I question him. He's not right. Because I didn't go along with Russiagate, and I told everybody, and they couldn't stand it. I said, I'm really sad that Cenk took $24 million in corporate cash, then union busted. By the way, here's something else Cenk told me. So right after Donald Trump got elected, and everybody was dejected, pretty much like we feel right now after the squad just abandoned us, we had finished a program, a show, and I turned to him, and I said earnestly, Cenk, let's do something real. Let's do something meaningful. And he goes, like what? I go, let's organize all the Walmart workers in California. I go, if we can do it here, we could do it anywhere. We could change the country. Let's organize the workers. And Cenk looked me right in the eye and he said, Jimmy, I ain't into unions, buddy. That's a direct quote. Really sad, Cenk took $24 million in corporate cash, then union busted, smeared Julian Assange, constantly pushed war while repeating CIA talking points while turning TYT into online MSNBC, and finally running interference for politicians while lying to kneecap forced the vote and Medicare for all. That's who Cenk Uygur is. Even their best fans have turned on them. I'm pretty sure she's friends with Anna. He says to Cenk Uygur, she says to Cenk Uygur, this one, I'm really sad that bullshit one where he's the victim somehow after his entire fucking network has been smearing me. She says, you should end every tweet by asking us for money. I want to make sure to have the real TYT experience. And why do I say she's friends with Anna? First of all, I got almost 2,000 likes by the time I screen capped it. Why do I say she's friends? Because Anna comes back and says, I can't believe you're repeating this dumb shit, Beth. So they must know each other. How do you propose we make money if we don't take corporate advertising? You took 24 million corporate dollars. What are you talking about? You're not independent media. That's not true. And how do you fund yourself? There's ads on all your videos. That's more corporate cash. You got it all. If we don't take corporate advertising, be better. I know you're smarter than this. Jesus Christ. Here's Cenk being a maniac. I've been criticizing Pelosi for 18 years now and told every Justice Democrat to oppose her on day one. And they didn't. Not one of them. But you just found a meme online yesterday. Congrats. You're decades late to the party and think you threw it. Because somebody said to him, hey, you're a day late and a dollar short, phony, to Cenk. And he goes, I've been criticizing Pelosi for 18 years now and told the Justice Democrats to oppose her on day one. No, you didn't. Today was day one, and you told them all to vote for her. Liar. Abject, bald-faced liar, Cenk Uygur. You told them all to vote for her today because the timing wasn't right. Because you didn't want to give it to this Kevin McCarthy. You didn't want to give the speakership to the GOP. The timing isn't right. We don't have anybody to replace Nancy Pelosi. You said don't do it. You told them don't do it. You fucking liar. You maniac. Maniac. He does this all in public. That's a true maniac. That's the Glenn Beck side of him. He does it all in public, just like Glenn Beck does it in public. And I always thought, how do the people work for Glenn Beck and Glenn Beck? They all do mental gymnastics. I still talk to them. They all pretend that Cenk isn't as crazy as he is. Some of them. Some of them. So he's been criticizing Pelosi for 18 years and telling the Justice Democrats to oppose her on day one. And she says, well, you've clearly done a hell of a job. As he tells them to vote for Nancy Pelosi, he tweets that he told them to not vote for Nancy Pelosi. Could you get any fucking crazier than that? He says, and then after he says don't do hashtag, don't force a vote, don't do that, don't withhold your vote for Nancy Pelosi, then literally he tweets this next. This is, again, talk about psychological problems. He says, progressives in Congress, wake up. Speaker Pelosi is not on your side and never will be. If you don't start fighting on her on policy positions, then you're going to lose all credibility. She's not your friend. This was January 4th. He put this out. Is today the 4th?
Jimmy, today's the 4th.
That's today.
He did that at 1:30 a.m. after the vote.
After the vote. After they did what he told them to do. Vote for Nancy Pelosi. He told them to do that. He said, don't force the vote. He told them. They did it. And then he tweets, you better start fucking opposing. What? And then he tweets, you better start opposing her or you're going to lose credibility. I think the people who just lost credibility was the Young Turks. Because even the person underneath, here's Beth again. There's Anna's friend, Beth. She says, "What are you doing right now? This is weird." And underneath that, getting whiplash here. Whoa, Cenk Uygur, whoa. Hashtag force to vote is constructive. It's destructive. It's fine strategy. You better fucking do it. You better not do it. Jimmy, you made a mess. Remember when he said that? Nobody knows what he's doing. Nobody knows what he's doing. Replying to Cenk Uygur, hey, but you wanted them to vote for her. No shit, Sherlock. That's what we wanted the squad to vote against her. Dude, he's telling them to do exactly what we've been advocating for them to do, and then he's been telling us that we don't know how politics works. This is insane. Cenk Uygur, you're not the victim here. You turned on Jimmy Dore, and you turned on Jordan, and you turned on me. That's Johnny Graz. Anyone who gets in the way of your ego gets steamrolled. That's true. Here's another guy. Watch this. It's another guy who was Cenk Uygur steamrolled.
Yesterday, I came forward about the racial discrimination that I unfortunately dealt with at the Young Turks. And it certainly wasn't easy to do. My time at the Young Turks was both humiliating and unfortunate. In response, my old boss, Cenk Uygur, insinuated that I lied. He couldn't be more wrong. When I went to Cenk for help, he responded by telling me his old boss would tell me to shut the f up and I should just deal with it. He also told me complaining about my discrimination complaints was something amounting to a fireable offense.
He told him that if he complained, that was a fireable offense.
I filed a complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights because it's not right for journalists or anyone of color to be treated this way. The day has come for us to pull back the curtain on what really happens, even in progressive media. Cenk also said yesterday, quote, "We care a great deal about diversity in the workplace. That is part and parcel of what we do." Sadly, the Young Turks couldn't be further from that perceived ethos that he thinks his organization conducts. The Young Turks started their brand writing about African Americans in horrible terms. Their head of HR, Dave Kohler, wrote about black people in old blog post discovered last month, quote, "Poor black people sweating in the sun." That was the same person who investigated my complaints by talking to me on the phone only once about my discriminatory complaints against my supervisor and never talking to me again about what the investigation he conducted resulted in. Cenk Uygur also said this about Native Americans in those old blog posts, quote, "Those Redskins show up everywhere, there's a buck to be made." And both Cenk and David Kohler joined themselves in shooting bottle rockets at the Martin Luther King Memorial. All those past actions both Cenk and Dave Kohler never apologized for until they were called out in press last month. So it's not shocking that when I needed help to have my claims of discrimination fully investigated, that there was no help to be found. I was either ignored or told to deal with it. Then I was placed under suspension, and then I was eventually fired/terminated. These terrible practices by the Young Turks are in clear violation of the Civil Rights Act, and it is salient, so important of us to make sure that we hold our employers accountable for when they don't follow the guidelines of such important legislation of equality. I hope my story can be able to be an inspiration for those who are experiencing the same levels of discriminatory behavior that I have unfortunately experienced at the Young Turks. All these words I say here, I truly do mean, and I hope that they can galvanize someone who is enduring the same level of awful behavior from their employer. Thank you all for watching this video, and may you all have a great rest of your day. So
I think it's clear what's going on at the Young Turks, and they've turned into a corporate outlet, and they're trying to keep their progressive cred, and it's obvious they don't have any anymore, that they're just a money funneling organization. They're like televangelists. If you're on their email list, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you watch their show, you know exactly what they're talking about. And now Cenk is trying to pretend that their news brand is lighthearted and fun. The guy's biopic is called Mad as Hell. He now puts out fundraising videos saying, you know, we're progressives, but we do the news in lighthearted and fun. That's literally what he says. My cock almost fell off when I fucking saw that. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you we join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.